Now, let us look at the fact-finding techniques that are used during the analysis phase. Before conducting fact-finding, we need to identify what are the information that we need. During fact-finding, usually we ask questions like who, what, where, when, how, and why. Interview is one of the important fact-finding techniques used during the analysis phase. Usually, we conduct interviews when we require detailed information from only a few people. Interview consists of 7 steps, and they are: step number 1, determine the people that you want to interview. Step number 2, you need to establish the objective of the interview by listing the facts that you want to gather. And step number 3 is to develop the interview question. Creating a list of interview questions will help you to keep on track during the interview session. There are 3 types of interview questions. They are open-ended question, close-ended question, and range of response question. Step number 4 is preparing for the interview, where we can send a list of topics to the interviewee. This is an example of an email that is being sent to interviewee to set up an interview. Step number 5 is conducting the interview. So we can begin with a good introduction, and we can use engaged listening during the interview session. We should allow the interviewee to enough time to think about the question, and after the interview, we should summarize the session and seek for a confirmation from the interviewee. Step number 6 is we need to document the interview. And we should also not forget to send an email or memo to the interviewee to express our appreciation. Okay. And last step is we need to evaluate the interview. Document review is another technique that can be used during fact-finding. Type of documents that can be reviewed are company's forms, company's policy, invoices, and so on. Observation is another technique for fact findings. Okay, here you can see the system in action, so that you can have additional perspective and a better understanding of the system procedure. Questionnaire and surveys are among popular fact-finding techniques. Okay, so if you want to use this technique, you need to keep your questionnaire brief and user-friendly. Okay, you need to also provide clear instruction on your questionnaire or survey. You may use simple terms and wording on your questionnaires or surveys to avoid misunderstanding. Another type of fact-finding techniques that can be used during the analysis phase is sampling. There are 3 types of sampling technique, which are systematic sample, stratified sample, and random sample. Okay, so the main objective of a sample is to ensure that it represents the overall population. Okay, research is one of the fact-finding techniques that can be also used during the analysis phase. Okay, you can conduct research by performing a site visit, or you can use news groups. A lot of people ask when to use interviews and when is the suitable time to use questionnaire. Okay, now, if you seek information from a large number of participants. So questionnaire is a very useful tool for you. Okay, but if you wanted very detailed information from only a few people, then you may conduct interview for each person. Okay, so we can say that interview is more familiar and personal, while questionnaire will give many people the opportunity to give input and suggestions to you. Documentation is a very important activity that need to be done after we conduct the fact-finding. We need to record information as soon as we obtain it, and we need to use the simplest recording method. Okay, we should also organize our documentation systematically. There are many softwares that can be used to record our documentation. For example, case tool, word processing, spreadsheets, databases, presentation graphics, and personal information managers.